What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for stopping by for another episode of the Evo build. As we can see outside, it is raining, so finally it's not a day where it's super hot in the garage. And like I always say, what better day to work on a car than a rainy day? So let's jump over here and check out this turbo we're gonna try to get installed back in the Evo. So the plan for today is to go ahead and try to get the turbo reassembled, get the manifold mated onto our brand new turbo, which, well, new to us. It's a 16G turbo from an Evo that I got from a friend down in Florida. It's in really good condition. So I have it all lined up here to try and reinstall the turbo into the car, starting with the brand new gasket for the manifold to the head, the brand new nuts for the studs, a couple of new studs that I have. Some of them did stay behind in the block. I'm gonna leave those, clean them up, and then install these guys. Next up, we got the ARP hardware for the O2 housing to the turbo itself. And then we have the manifold here with new bolts that go from the manifold through here to the turbo. Next step after that would be to go ahead, get all these crush washers installed with these banjo bolts for the oil and the coolant, get those reinstalled. Off camera, I did go ahead and set the preload on this. I did 2 millimeters. Up here, you unscrew this guy, kind of back it out 2 millimeters after you can get this guy onto the actual, where is it, flapper arm. Take it off, pull it back, unloosen this by about 2 millimeters, and then screw this guy down to tighten. Was kind of a pain. I did it off camera because I'd never done it before, but honestly, was pretty easy. And then the last step would be to take this guy and get him reinstalled on here. It's the outlet for the compressor housing. I do not have a gasket for some reason, so I am gonna go ahead, order one of those. And then finally, we got bolts for the oil return, washers for the oil return bolts, and for the downpipe. So let's jump on it. So like I said, I do want to go ahead and get the turbo reassembled, but first off, the first thing I probably should be doing is cleaning up the exhaust manifold. I have gone through and cleaned up turbos and everything else, but the one thing I haven't cleaned up is the exhaust manifold. So I'm gonna throw it on a time lapse, use a wire wheel, and try to get the manifold cleaned up before we can mate it back together. So let's jump on that. Okay, got that all set. Obviously, it's not too hard to just wire wheel a manifold, so it didn't take too long. Next step is we are gonna have to go ahead and remove these studs from the turbo, because as you saw earlier, we do have a new kit, which is just bolts with washers. So originally it's 2 bolts and then 2 studs with nuts. So we're gonna take these guys out and put these new ones in. So what I am gonna do is I'm gonna hit it with a bunch of heat and then use the double nut method, hopefully, to be able to take this guy out easily. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to try and use like channel locks or something to try to remove it. I'm gonna throw it on a time lapse. I do have another video in the past where I did show how to use the double nut method. I will link it up here somewhere. So if you guys do want to see it, it's pretty easy. Basically, you just put 2 nuts on and then you tighten them together. So one will be going one way, the other's going the other way. And as you're doing it, once you're pulling the bottom one this way, it ends up taking it out because this guy right here puts pressure on the bottom nut. So I'm gonna throw it on the time lapse, try to get that done. Hopefully there's no problems. Okay, I'm tired. It's not going like I wanted it to. These heat cycled studs on the turbo, it's not having it with the double nut method. Like with the intake manifold, it was easy, right? Like the video that I linked, that wasn't too bad because that doesn't really get super duper hot. Turbo gets dumb hot, right? So this is what I'm working with. I've done the double nut method. The nuts a little bit have started rounding. The threads are super clean at this point from going on and off the nuts. I did get this to break free by doing a ton of heat, using my channel locks to be able to grab right here. I was able to pull it a little bit. I did a bunch of penetrant, more heat, more penetrant. Doesn't want to go. I did decide to use my small impact, which did allow it to be able to go. Once I already did remove it a little tiny bit with the channel locks, I was able to send it back in with the impact. and then I kept going in with the impact and then out with the impact. When I do send it, so a few threads go back in with the drill, it is able that this is tight enough that when I do go and reverse it out, it will come back out a few threads. So I've been just trying to go in and out with the threads like a million times, try to break it loose. So it is coming out. Like the threads are releasing. So that's what I'm not understanding, is why it is able to have a little bit of travel, but then once you get to a certain point, it's just like not having it. So I'm gonna keep on going ahead. I'll throw it on another time lapse. We'll see if maybe I can get it to come out. The only thing saving me right now is the fact that it is raining really hard outside again. So I did get a little bit of relief from the heat, because honestly, the hat's off, I was sweating, starting to die in here. So I'm gonna go ahead, keep trying to get this guy out of here, and then I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and say, I keep trying to say get this guy off, and I need to stop saying that. So I'm gonna start saying get this guy out of here. So let me go ahead, try to get this stud out, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I still haven't gotten it, have made a little bit of progress. Obviously you saw I did a bunch of heat on it. Let me show you what we're working with. So here's the stud. You can see that when I'm moving it, like I can move the stud. Like it does go in and out. But once it gets to a certain point, it's like, nah dude, sorry, not going anymore. So I think what I have to do is continue just like keep trying to in, out, in, out, in, out with the impact and try to see if I can get it loose. Probably won't throw it on the time lapse. I'll probably do this off camera, but once I do get it out, I guess I'll let you guys know what I did, and hopefully when I come out on the other side, they'll both be removed. Okay, it is the next day. As you can tell, I have a different shirt on. It really did give me a lot of trouble getting those things out. Off camera, I did get them out finally. It was not easy. It was a combination of using impacts and the double nut method and using vice grips, and let me just show you how it turned out. So these are the studs. I believe, so this guy was the first one I tried to take out, which was like super duper in there. This guy was a little easier to get out, but you can see both of them have the threads stuck in them. So I believe it's these two holes are the ones where the threads are no more. So basically, my options are either a time cert or a helicoil. Time certs are definitely more of like a real fix. They're stronger. There's a tool that you use as you screw it in. It actually pushes the threads on the outside of the cert into the new threads in the hole, keeps it sturdier. The only problem is the hole over here, it's like a through hole. There's a word for it, but I can't remember what it is, but there's no bottom to where the bolt is. And I even tested one of the bolts on the threads that are still there, which I can show you. So as you can see, I did insert this guy because I was trying to test just how far it went. Because if it didn't go through, which you can see right there, the bolt does come out the other side. It's only like 2 or 3 threads, but with a time cert, it would actually need a bottom here to be able to install, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so I am gonna go with a helicoil, with a high temp stainless steel helicoil. So basically what we'll do is we're gonna go through, we will drill out the old threads that are there, retap new threads with the tap and die kit that I have, and then after that we'll install the helicoil, and that'll basically be our new threads. So I'm gonna do stainless steel helicoil with high temp Loctite, so that I'm able to make sure at least that I'm pretty sure it stays in there. The only other option would be to go ahead and just drill it out and retap a size bigger, but I already have these ARP stainless steel bolts, so I figure why not just helicoil it. But really that kind of puts me in a position right now where I don't have the helicoils, so I can't really continue on with the turbo until I do. But what that can let me do is I can install the new studs that I have to go on the head for the exhaust manifold. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and jump on cleaning up the ones that are still on there, insert the new ones, and then I guess we'll figure out what I'm gonna do after that. Okay, so I did go ahead and get the little cleaned up. Obviously it was hard to reach some spots, but I just want to make sure that in the threads there's no dirt or anything that's gonna like mess the threads up when I eventually put the nuts and the washers on. But I do have 4 new studs that I'm gonna put in, just because the old ones came out with the nuts still like fused to them. So I'm gonna put new studs. I have new nuts that are gonna come in the mail, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of red Loctite, just a touch on the threads when I thread them in, and then we'll have our new studs. So I'm gonna go ahead, throw in another time lapse because installing studs is boring, and I'll see you guys on the other side of that. Okay, so in true Evo fashion, as you probably saw in the video, in the time lapse, I did get 1 stud screwed in. Then I realized if you take a look, I don't know if you'll be able to see because you never can, but the threads in there on these 3 holes are all messed up. So I didn't realize that when I took the studs out, the nuts wouldn't come off, so the whole stud came out. And I didn't realize back then, but apparently it took the threads with it. So I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and try to replace those threads too. I guess maybe with, time certs would probably be a better option, since there actually is like a bottom of those bolt holes. And then also I realized that on this stud, on the new turbo that I got, it is, the threads here are a little messed up. So I could try to buy a new one, but then I'm worried about trying to take this guy out. It's gonna ruin these threads. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to chase this and see if I can fix that. So this right here is my tap and die set that I got from, I think, Harbor Freight. Yeah, it's a Pittsburgh. It's a pretty standard set. It's got all your dies, all your taps. It's got the 2 handles for each one. And then it's got a gauge so you can tell all the different sizes and threads. So basically what I'm gonna do is, I've already got this like cleaned up kind of as much as I can. I did try to get some of the crap out, but it's kind of in there. So what I'm gonna do is, this is a M10 by 1.25. So I got that size right in here. Yeah, I probably can't read it because it never focuses. But basically all I'm gonna do is hit this with some WD-40 and then screw this on, take it back off. Clean it, WD-40, screw it back on, take it back off. Really, you just wanna go nice and slow. You wanna stop often, because the last thing you want is to be trying to correct the threads with a bunch of crap in there. So I'm gonna put it on the time lapse and try to get this guy figured out. Hopefully just going slow, on and off, plenty of cleaning in WD-40. Hopefully it will fix the problem, because honestly, I don't even wanna try to take this guy out, because I'm pretty sure if I do, it's gonna take the threads that are in the actual housing with it, and that's gonna be an even worse situation. So let's give it a go. Okay, so the die did work. It did its job, luckily. Didn't mess it up even more. This is one of the nuts. Actually, this is an exhaust manifold. The big stud nut. I somehow bought like 1 million of them for some reason. But it is the same size as this guy. And as you can see, it does screw on. I did stop at a certain point though, because it started just going freely here. It seemed like only the upper threads were damaged, so that must have been where the nut was when it was taken off. But other than that, so it's all set now, luckily. I was a little apprehensive about it, but I think I'm gonna give it a shot. I have those 3 threaded holes in the cylinder head that the threads are messed up. I am gonna try to chase them with a tap. I'm gonna use tons of WD-40 to try to lube it up, try to go nice and straight, and we'll hope for the best. I mean, at this point, with the threads the way they are, the only options are you can try to chase them like I'm gonna do, or you can do a time cert or a helicoil, and at that point you have to drill it out anyway. So I figure it's worth it a shot. just to try to see if I can maybe chase the threads. They're not too mangled, so hopefully I'll be able to chase them nice and slow and then possibly be able to get those studs in, because honestly, I'm getting tired of problems with this turbo. So let's go ahead and try to chase some threads. Okay, so I'm gonna try my best to show this as best I can. The threads they're still there, but they're a little bit mangled. So what I'm gonna do is try to throw some WD-40 in there, a little bit on the tap itself. Nice. And we're gonna see what we can do. We're gonna go nice and slow. Not gonna rush anything. So it does feel pretty sturdy. So I'm hoping at least this one will be good. Just have to go nice and slow. So it is threading in pretty easily. So this is giving me some hope that maybe it'll be all right. So now that I've gone in 2 turns, I'm just gonna back it out nice and slow. There is some stuff on the threads, so I'm gonna clean that up with a rag, and then I'll go back and I will more WD-40 and just keep kind of going in and out. I am gonna try to go in there and get any of that old WD-40 kind of soaked up by this towel and get it out. All right, so now that I got that all cleaned up, go ahead, try this again. So now that I get a little resistance, I will back it back out again. It did go further in this time, but that's kind of the whole idea, is that you go in a couple of turns, and then you come out. You can see, you can't see because there's no way it'll focus, but there is some stuff and debris just on these threads. So like I said, I am gonna go back in again, clean out the old WD-40. I'll shoot some new in there, and then I'll try to go back in. So at this point, I've gone in like 2 threads, out, 4 threads in, out. Now I'll try to go like 6, and just each time add on like another layer. And hopefully we'll be able to clean these up and get the studs installed. However, I do want to stress this is an aluminum head, so this metal is very soft. So it is important to kind of go nice and slow. Don't use too much force, or you definitely can destroy the threads more than actually fixing them. So it's easily threading in now until I get to a point where I can now back it out a little bit more. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to compare the length of the threads for the stud, and then see how far down I can get on this tap, because I obviously don't want to go too far and possibly puncture into the back of the cylinder head, like where the threads stop. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hopefully this guy threads in nicely. Oh yeah, a lot better than it was. So I do have obviously some more threads to go, so I'm going to go ahead, run that guy back in, and hopefully we're going to get these guys all fixed up. And just like that, went back, did the other 2 messed up threaded holes, and now I finally have all the studs in place. Honestly, tap and die set for the win. I haven't really had to use it too much, but can't say enough about it. It just does magic. But it also has me thinking now, I wonder if I could go ahead and try to chase the threads on here on these studs that we had a hard time getting out earlier. Not 100% sure if it's gonna work, because like those ones over there, the actual studs that I had still, they didn't look like they had a ton of thread on them. But these guys very obviously do have tons of thread in them. So I'm gonna go ahead and see, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll be able to just chase these threads and then use the new bolts that I had. And then in the next video, I guess, I could probably try to get the turbo back in. So let's go ahead and try. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try it. We'll see how this works. I'm gonna liberally coat the tap and the hole with some WD-40, just like before. We'll see what we can do. This isn't feeling like it's gonna be quite as easy, but I mean, it's going, so. Gets a little tight, back it out. mean, there's not too much stuff on there. I am gonna get a new towel because I want to be using clean stuff. So give me a sec. Okay, so I got my clean paper towels. I'm gonna keep going at this guy. Hopefully we'll be able to fix this. If it does start going pretty okay, I'll probably throw it on a time lapse. And it does seem like it's working, so I am hopeful that maybe, it's getting a little bit, little tough now. I feel like this is where the threads, yeah, I don't know. This is feeling pretty tight, so I don't think this is gonna work, but we'll see. So I did keep going ahead and trying to re-tap, I guess chase the threads on the turbo. It really wasn't going. It was getting stuck a lot more so than the head. The head is aluminum, so it does kind of go through a little bit easier. This guy over here is cast iron, so it certainly is a lot tougher. So I was going and I was using tons of WD-40 to try to lube it up. It did get through a decent amount, but it was getting stuck. So I had to stop because I don't want to break the tap off in there. But a friend of mine did say you could heat it up a ton, and then possibly that will allow you to be able to get through the metal when it's a little bit more malleable, which I can try, but I used all the MAP gas that I have yesterday trying to get those studs out. So it's kind of not on the table right now. So with that, it's probably where I'm gonna end this video. Obviously we didn't get the turbo together like we wanted to, but at least we were able to conquer the thread problems on the head, as well as, where is it? This guy right here. He was a little messed up, like I said, and got that taken care of. So if anything, I'll take those two things as a win, and we'll just call it a day. But that's all I got. So until the next one, peace out and keep wrenching.